Meow. 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 Welcome to this walkthrough of my speedrun of the Tears of the Kingdom Glitchless 100% plus Great Sky Island category. Now, the official 100% run of Great Sky Island, or GSI, requires that we collect the Decayed Master Sword, the Purapad, and the Energy Cell. We also have to complete all of the shrines and get all of the rune abilities. We have to complete all of the main quests, unlock the Forge Construct, the Crystal Refinery, and Zonai device dispensers. We also have to collect all clothing items, defeat the Flux Construct, collect all 18 koroks seeds, discover all cave entrances, and collect all of the bubble gems. And for the plus category of this speedrun, which I created with the help of my Twitch chat, we also open all of GSI's treasure chests, including the ones in the shrines, and we also collect the additional korok that is only available after Link touches the surface level of the game. And of course, we can't use any glitches, not even the ones that are allowed by the official glitchless GSI 100% run. Now, as we get going here in the speed run, you'll notice that stamina management is one of the big things we're going to be dealing with as we make our way through this run. We're being very careful not to run out of stamina because that obviously costs us time. We're also going to avoid diving because the dive animation actually costs us time compared to just running off the platform into the water like what we did there. Now, after we get this treasure chest, another thing that you're going to see throughout this speedrun is we're going to be avoiding irregular terrain, like right here in this hallway, because irregular terrain costs us a little bit of time. And quite literally, there are hundreds of little time saves like this throughout the speedrun, and all of them add up really quickly. And so it may seem like we're just saving a little bit of time here or there, but again, we're saving a little bit of time a lot of places, and that all adds up. So as we get to the title sequence here, you notice we don't start the game or the speed run at the actual beginning of the game. When doing this glitchless, the beginning of the game, the full beginning of the game, is essentially just an extra long cutscene, and so we just start at the Room of Awakening because we prefer to get to the speedrunning part sooner rather than later. And the nice thing about a glitchless speedrun is everything that we do can be done by anybody with a little bit of practice. And now that the title sequence is over, we do a jump slash here to gain a little bit of extra horizontal movement so we can avoid swimming because swimming costs us time. And we're just trying to find every way possible to move as quickly as possible. We pick up this tree branch here, and we're going to equip that so that we can use it just a little bit later here in the run before we get to the Temple of Time. Now, we're going to be picking up a few helpful items along the way before reaching the Temple of Time, and we need to go to the Temple of Time to actually be able to open up access to the shrines. And again, along the way, we're going to get a few of these little helpful items that may help us before the Temple of Time, but also a few that are going to help us after we get to the Temple of Time. Now, as we talk to this steward construct and they hand over to the Purapad, that's one of the requirements that we have, this becomes kind of a turning point in the speed run. Before this, we may have had some small time losses here or there that wouldn't really kill a run. But everything after this, we have a lot more opportunities for major time losses that can kill a run or significantly impact our final time. So this really changes over from kind of just the intro of the speedrun to the full speedrun itself. And so now, after talking to the steward construct, we're going to head over here to this terminal, and we're going to activate the terminal because we can't cross this this gap any other way. Again, because we're doing this glitchless. There are glitched ways to get across here or to get to the Temple of Time, but we're not allowed to use that, so we have to do the quote-unquote normal way that you probably did in your casual playthrough. Again, you'll see us here managing our stamina, making sure we don't run out. And then we're going to go to the side of this archway and we're going to dive down into the water below specifically to grab that hot-footed frog right there. And we're going to use that hot-footed frog later for some speed food. And we grab that specific hot-footed frog, even though there are frogs later in the speed run, because that one is static. And that means that it's always there on that lily pad. It may jump in slightly different directions, but we know it's always going to be on that lily pad. And we try to find static items as much as possible so that we can minimize the amount of RNG that we have in our speed run. So now we run past the constructs, we jump here into the water, and then we climb the stairs to get to the Temple of Time and the closed door main quest. Now before we get there, we're going to come face to face with a construct, and what we're going to do is we're going to wait until that construct raises its shield, and then we're going to throw that tree branch we have, we're going to throw it at him and separate him from his shield. And so now we can go pick up that shield, and that's something that now we can use for shield surfing and shield jumping for the rest of our speed run. And now we continue up to the Temple of Time to get the closed door main quest. And this is now going to unlock the shrines for us. And so the first shrine we're going to do is the one right there in the distance, the Ultra Hand Shrine. And so we're going to avoid the construct there. We're going to do a shield jump to try to save some time. We don't really get over the terrain like we want to, but then we're going to avoid some other terrain and come down here, and we're going to collect a few arrows, even though we don't quite have a bow just yet. But we're going to take care of that here in just a second as well. We're going to come up here, and we're going to attack this construct, and then we're going to jump to grab his bow as quickly as possible. And then we're going to continue on and grab a few more arrows. And then we're going to cross this little gap in the bridge. And we're going to aim up to get a few, these two rush rooms here. Now we get them from below so that they fall right where we're at and we can grab them quickly. There is a slightly faster way you can get those rush rooms, but you risk them bouncing away into the water, which would then ultimately cost you more time. So we go for the slightly slower, more consistent strat here. We want our stamina to be full before we climb this wall so that we can have full stamina to run and grab this korok as early as possible. Otherwise, that korok would end up further away from us, which costs us time, and we would end up further away from the shrine, which would also cost us time. Now that we have the korok, we can run back. We're going to grab 3 more rush rooms on the walls as we head up to the shrine. Again, stamina management is key here so that we don't waste too much stamina on the walls. And then we can run around and climb this one last wall and open up access to the shrine. Now it's worth talking about that there's 2 kinds of shrines here that we're going to be dealing with on GSI. One type of shrine is sort of on a timer, which means that no matter how fast or slow you do things within reason, you're going to end up with the same, essentially taking the same amount of time to complete the shrine. And then there are other shrines that are not on a timer. And what that means is that as quickly as you can get through the shrine, that's what your time is going to be. And it turns out that Ultra Hand here, this first shrine that we're doing, is one of those ladder types of shrines, which means it's not on a timer, and so we need to complete all of the tasks that we need to do here in this shrine. We need to complete them as quickly as possible because that's going to give us the best time possible. And we get the Ultra Hand ability from Rauru here, and then we button mash through a bit of dialogue, and then we're off to complete the shrine. And the first thing we're going to do here to save just a little bit of time consistently is we're going to do a shield jump across that gap instead of using the slab. We're then going to glue these 2 slabs together, albeit not exactly straight. Not like we wanted, but it'll work anyhow. And then we're going to use these 2 slabs to get up to the treasure chest. And we got really lucky there that the slabs did not fall down onto the ground. They probably should have, but again, every speedrun ends up having a little bit of luck in it. That was our luck for sure. But yeah, we had to get the treasure chest because in addition to getting all the treasure chests outside of the shrines in GSI, we made the requirement that we have to get the treasure chests inside. Now, instead of using a hook here on this rail like you probably did for a casual run through, we're going to just shield surf down the rail, and that gets us to the end quicker. And just that quickly, we are at the end of the shrine, and we're done. Now, this is the first shrine that we've completed, and so we have to sit through this long cutscene. From the moment that we activated the terminal until the end of this cutscene, it takes a little bit under 1 minute and 10 seconds. And so this is a good time to talk about essentially how you split your speedrun, or how you create your timing segments. And so you can create your segments however you want. You don't even need to have any segments if you're doing a speedrun. Personally, I like to have segments that are relatively even because it just feels like it creates a good cadence for the speedrun. And so I also try to split my segments on either a fade to black or a dialogue box like what you just saw there. Now, obviously, I didn't stop this particular segment there, and so this segment stops on the fade out to black at the end of the shrine, and then some other segments I have are split a little differently. And so that's the end of the segment there. And now we go through a little bit more dialogue with Rauru coming out of this shrine, and then we can continue on the speed run and gathering our items. Now, next up, after talking with Rauru here, is we're going to get 3 rush rooms on a wall on the other side of the water here. We again have to be very careful with our stamina management and make sure that we get all 3 rush rooms off of the wall. If we don't get them off the wall, then what ends up happening is we have to shoot one down because we need all 3 of them, and that gives time for that construct to attack us and harm us. And if we lose any hearts, that also significantly impacts our speed run because we're currently on our way over to the cold section of the map, and we need all the hearts that we can keep. So we're going to continue here over. We're going to make a quick stop on the way over to the cold area of the map at a treasure chest that you probably didn't get this early in your casual playthrough. Neither did I. We're going to cross back by these constructs that we saw earlier, and we're going to head up the side of this hill here to grab this boulder. And we're going to use Ultra Hand. This is why we got Ultra Hand first. We're going to grab this boulder, and then we're going to use it as a little bit of a step to just jump over here and grab this treasure chest. Now, normally you would probably use Ascend to get up to this treasure chest, but turns out we can just use the boulder to get there anyhow. You see we're using some shield jumps to avoid going over weird terrain. And now we need to take out this construct because otherwise we won't be able to cook at that cooking pot. The game doesn't let you cook when there's an enemy nearby. And so we grab some peppers, and believe it or not, we're not going to cook the peppers. We're going to cook the mushrooms so that we can have speed food, because speed food is more important than cold protection. We'll just eat the peppers raw to gain hearts back that we lose here in this cold section, but otherwise we're just going to try and go as quickly as possible. We do some shield surfing here, trying to get the downside of these little hills so that we can shield surf faster than we can walk through the snow here. And then we head over and we get this treasure chest back here in the corner. Now this is relatively flat land that we're on, so catching these downhills is fairly difficult, honestly, and it doesn't always work out well, but as you can see, if you can catch the little downhills here and there, you'll get enough speed, and we're definitely going faster than if we were walking through the snow without the shield surfing. Ideally, we get to this maker construct with 1+ hearts still available. We then get our energy cell, which we'll use in the speedrun for the Zonai devices. And then we're going to take the raft across the water here to the rest of the cold area. Again, stamina management is going to become very important as we go through this cold area. And ideally, we want to get across this water before we eat our rushroom food to speed up and to regain hearts. And so we accomplished that, and now we're running a little bit faster. But again, stamina management is still key when we're walking through the snow here, or running through the snow as much as we can. We're trying to find clear areas like this because that helps us run even faster. As many clear or clear-ish areas like this as we can get helps us go even faster. Now coming up here, we're going to grab a couple more rush rooms, and then we're going to head over to the Ascend Shrine using the pathway created by the Bingo, the Tears of the Kingdom Bingo setup file. If you've not played Bingo for Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, highly recommend it. And you set up a Bingo file, you're not allowed to grab anything or touch anything. And so there's this interesting way, which you're going to see right here. We jump across the water, and then we're going to actually run out of stamina here, getting up these to the sides of these walls. But that's on purpose. This is the only time in the game where we're purposefully running out of stamina. And that's so that we can make it up both of those without needing any stamina food or any other going any other slower way to get here to this shrine. So pretty quickly we're here at the Ascend Shrine, and we actually get to go in a little bit quicker than we did for the first shrine because we've already gone through the initial shrine animations. Now, as this shrine loads up, again, I mentioned that there are shrines that are on a timer, or essentially a timer. This is one of them. So as soon as this shrine loads up, there's a platform at the end of the shrine that starts moving. We know this because if you go to this shrine first, Rauru talks more because it's your first shrine, and the platform is out of sequence, which means you're not able to get it on the first pass, which means it takes longer. You're delayed. Because we're doing it as the second shrine, we can get it on the first pass, which means that we can save quite a bit of time. But again, because it's mostly on a timer, that means that there's some wiggle room for error here. We just need to keep moving as quickly as possible in general. Now you saw there, and you'll also see as we continue through the shrine, that I get essentially an instant ascend. Believe it or not, you can't get it instantly. You have to actually have a slight delay in activating the ascend in order for it to seem like this instant ascend. So you activate the ability, and then a slight delay, and then you press the A button, and that'll allow you to ascend without having Link look up at the ceiling, look up at the green dot on the ceiling. At this point, we need to keep moving because, as you saw right there, the construct is trying to shoot us. And so we need to keep moving so that he never gets good aim on us and actually damages us or delays us. So we create the bridge there so that we can ascend, and we see that we're definitely ahead of time to get to the platform. So now we can ascend up to the platform and then ascend up to the final platform. And we didn't lose any time there, which means that essentially we kept up with the timer, and we were able to complete the shrine without missing any cycles. Now we're able to use some button mashing to get a faster end cutscene and get through the end of this shrine a little bit faster before we split the segment here. Now coming out of this shrine, we're going to do a very quick button sequence so that we turn to the right, jump, and initiate a shield surf very quickly because we're trying to get over to the archaic Wormgreaves treasure chest as quickly as possible. So there you saw that in action. We're going to ascend up here, and then we're going to try to make it to this treasure chest without losing any hearts, and we're able to accomplish that as long as we get a pretty quick shield surf. We then get the Wormgreaves, and we equip the Wormgreaves, and so this means that we won't lose any more hearts to cold weather when we return back to this cold area later, or even now as well. We pick up the rock for the korok, complete the korok, and then we're going to shield surf down away from the korok and towards the Zonai device dispenser, or what I like to call the gumball machines. So we're going to shield surf over there, ascend up. Now we don't have to use the Zonai device dispensers. We just need that teal dot to show up on the map like it did right there. Then we move this platform into place. We do not need to use ascend here. We can just climb up the wall. And then we run over here and grab this treasure chest with 3 wings. And we're going to use one of those wings pretty much immediately. Now it's important to remember this Sky Island that we're on right here where we start this, this wing from, because this becomes important here for the end of our wing flight. Now you saw we started a little wing flight here. We got lucky that we didn't lose the wing off the edge there. This is the first chance we have to catch our breath in the run. Now we are making minor adjustments with Link because we're really trying to land the wing in a perfect spot on that distant Sky Island there. But generally we just have to move him around a little bit just to keep him kind of on a direct path. But we finally get to take a little bit of a breath and relax because we've been pretty much non-stop since we got the Purr pad at this point. So what you'll see here is we want to land right on the edge of this Sky Island, and we miss it by a little bit, quite a bit actually, but that's okay. That's not a problem. We just need to make sure that we have the wing on the Sky Island to use, because what we're going to do is we're going to position this wing so that the edge of it is over the edge of the Sky Island, and that allows us to shield jump across that gap. If we didn't do that and we tried to jump across that gap, Link would actually dive down into the void, and that would essentially kill Link. It would cause him to lose a heart, but he would reset all the way back at the Sky Island where we got the wings out of the treasure chest. And so that is basically that's a run killer at that point. So we get a korok, and then we run over here. We're going to pick up 4 more rushrooms off the walls here. We're going to use Ultra Hand to get these rushrooms, because using Ultra Hand is much faster than a bow and arrow for these. Once we have these 4 rushrooms, that gives us 10 total, and that allows us to cook 2 speed foods. Now as we head to the cooking pot, we are going to attack the construct there. That prevents him from trying to talk to us, which would obviously cost us quite a bit of time. We cook our 2 speed foods, and then we head on to our first korok friend. Now the key thing with this particular korok friend is we're actually going to use this korok to our advantage once we get through the initial dialogue here. We're going to attach this korok to one of those logs that's sitting right there, and we're going to attach him in a way that acts so that he acts kind of like a kickstand and keeps everything upright when we add this hook to the top of the log. So you'll see it will not lean over. That helps us attach the hook, and then we get to jump on the log and ride it across. And the korok also saves us right there, preventing us from falling down into the void and costing us a lot of time. We pair the koroks back up, we let him know that his friend is here, and we're already preparing to return. Now, important thing about this Sky Island is it does not count as ground, so when we run off and dive down, the game is going to reset us back to the last ground it recognized, which is back where we started the korok friend. And that is actually the fastest way to get back across to this island to continue our run. Now you saw we ate the speed food, and we're heading over to this construct camp. What we're going to do is we're going to attack the high guy first to give the other constructs time to gather. So we headshot him, the others have had time to gather, and we get to kill all of them much quicker because they're all right there within range. We then get the locked treasure chest here. And then after this, we're gonna shield jump down to a rock. And if we don't make it all the way out to this large rock system, we actually take way too much damage by falling down to the ground. So we have to do the shield jump to get the horizontal movement there. Then we head down to this lower surface underneath the lake and waterfalls. We grab some more mushrooms, and there's a treasure chest here. Now this area really isn't available until you get the ascend ability, at least heading this particular direction. And so we'll complete this up, and we'll ascend up back up to the surface and head toward the Fuse Shrine. Those mushrooms that we gathered there underneath the lake and waterfall, we'll use that for a speed food later, along with our hot-footed frog and one other item that we have to grab. So now we're back to a shrine that is not on a timer. So this shrine is much more like the Ultra Hand Shrine, which is we need to complete all of the items as quickly as possible so that we can get the shortest amount of time possible in this particular shrine. One thing that's going to become important here is we're after we get this fuse ability, we're going to pick up a sword and we're going to fuse a boulder to it. We're going to use that boulder sword to smash through a bunch of rocks and other obstacles. When we swing that, it's a two-handed sword, and so it actually takes a long time for that animation to happen. And so what you're going to do is what you're going to see is you'll see me jump partway through, like right there. I jump. That cancels the rest of the animation, and that allows us to do a two-handed sword swing much faster than what is otherwise going to happen if we don't do that jump. We light the leaves on fire sooner rather than later so that the treasure chest is available to us right here. And then we head back, and we're actually going to, even something as simple as jumping over water saves us time because Link walking in water is actually slow. Again, another jump cancel so that we can get the treasure chest as soon as it hits. And now we're headed back, we're headed through the locked door to take on the Captain Construct at the end of the shrine. Now, in your casual playthrough, like mine, you probably either lit the floor on fire or otherwise tried to take care of this Captain Construct. But what we're going to do is we're actually just going to walk right by him. We're going to run up to him, and then we're going to walk by him to try to basically get him to attack us, which he does. And then we continue on through. We do the jump cancel, and that allows us to get through that obstacle fast enough that he can't attack us, and then we're done with the shrine. All right, at this point, we now have 3 of the 4 main abilities that we get in the game. We have Ultra Hand, Ascend, and Fuse, sorry. And that means that most everything is available to us now, particularly on GSI. So really from this point forward, we're really focusing on optimizing our movements and our collection of items as much as possible. So we're going to turn here, we're going to do another jump cancel, we're going to get the treasure chest, and then we're going to look for those 2 little roots on the wall. We're going to use that as our guide for where we're going to ascend. And again, these are the kinds of minor details that we're looking for to try to optimize our speed and collection of items as quickly or as much as possible. So we get a korok up here before we turn back around, and because we come backwards, we're able to essentially run down this wall. And then we're going to do a shield jump to avoid the irregular terrain. And we're going to do another shield jump here to access this treasure chest. Now this is another construct camp, but because this treasure chest is not locked, we can just get the Soldier Reaper and leave without having to deal with any of the constructs. Now that Soldier Reaper becomes an important weapon later on, so in addition to actually getting it to complete the treasure chests, we also get it because it's very useful. So now we peek around this corner. We're very careful because this bubble frog is problematic. If you just enter the room, he just starts jumping around and is problematic to get. And then we come over here. We need to get this particular ore deposit because it has a guaranteed ruby. Again, we're trying to minimize RNG. And so we are, if you don't know what RNG is, that's random number generation. So we're trying to reduce our randomness here. We get a Keese eyeball. That's the final ingredient for our speed food. And I'll explain that a little bit later. But you also notice we picked up the bubble gem, and then we get this treasure chest. And then as soon as we get this last cave entrance right there, we have to walk all the way there to get the cave entrance. Now we're finally done with that cave. But that ruby is going to come into play later in the run. It's a very important part of this run. And now that we finished that cave, we run over here into this, essentially the remnants of a very large tree trunk so that we can get a korok. We jump slash to get rid of the leaves, and then we pick up the rock to get the korok. From here, we're going to head down to an area that has another Captain Construct that we're essentially going to ignore. We're going to use the platforms to get down without taking damage. And then we're going to get a really fast ascend here because we're on the edge of that platform. If we were a little further in on the platform, we would get the full ascend animation, and that would take more time. But instead, we didn't get that, and now we can head over here and return back. And we're headed back for those floating platforms that we just touched a second ago. But we're not going to move any of them. We're just going to run to the edge here, and then we can still ascend up to the next area that we're headed. So once we get up here, we run to this little building, and we get a treasure chest that's hanging out here. And then we're going to head over after this. We're going to head over here and climb this wall and head toward another korok friend. Now this korok friend is a little bit complicated, just like the first one. And so we have a series of things that we do to try to optimize this as much as possible. The first thing is we're going to put together this minecart, but we're going to put it together at a distance. And the reason is we need to move it all the way over to the rails. And so putting it together at a distance keeps it at a distance that we're already almost at the rails. We walked by the gumball machine and were able to get it to appear on the map. So we accomplished that while we were moving the minecart. Now we've activated the korok, and again we're going to pick up the korok from a distance so that he's already at the distance to attach to the minecart. We start the minecart, and then we immediately detach the korok so that we can start moving him to the right distance to complete the korok friend. We get a nice little momentum jump there, finish the korok friend, and now we can head up and get this treasure chest that is behind the korok friends after we renew our speed food. Now, after this treasure chest, we're going to do one little quick thing here where we're going to fuse a minecart to our shield. And that is going to make it so that we can shield surf on any surface. Now, we could already shield surf on rails. That was fine. But later, you're going to see we'll be able to shield surf on stone or ground or pretty much anything. Now, we take our time here because we're trying to land on a ledge here so that we can do a jump and bullet time and sneak, well, basically headshot that first one, get rid of that second one, sneak strike this guy again, take him out, and then 1, 2, 3, take him out, and we're done with the construct camp that quickly. We switch over to the boulder sword we're going to need here after this treasure chest while the treasure chest is unlocking. And now we're going to do a shield jump again. Weird terrain. So we're going to do a shield jump to get away from it. And now we're going to crash through these boulders here to get a korok down below. And then we're going to switch back to our Soldier Reaper. We're going to ascend up. We need to kill this choo-choo to make sure that we have access to the cooking pot down below. Sometimes the game doesn't like to give us access. We light the fire, and then we do 3 rush rooms, hot-footed frog, and a keys eyeball, and that gives us a speed food that is good for 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Now the 5 rushroom speed food that we had earlier, those were only good for 5 minutes. So by getting the hot-footed frog and the keys eyeball, we actually gain an extra 50 seconds, and it didn't cost us anywhere near that amount of time to gather those ingredients. So now we shield surf into this cave. We get this particular bright bloom seed because that actually lights up the entire rest of the cave. This construct forces us to talk to him. And you don't need the bright bloom seed if you want to do this cave in the dark. I don't like doing it in the dark, so I hit that one bright bloom seed, and then we headshot this bubble frog. The game is always pretty generous with allowing a headshot on that guy. Then we get the bubble gem, and we head around the corner to get the forge construct. Personally, I just don't like navigating this cave in the dark. I end up messing it up too much. So it's worth it to me to hit that one bright bloom seed on the way in, and then I don't have to worry about it. So after telling the forge construct that we really don't want any of their stuff, we head out. Again, we have to get the cave entrance, so we need to make sure we go far enough, and then we can ascend out of the cave to head over to the next treasure chest. Now this next treasure chest is a little bit out of the way. It's really kind of the only thing that's on this sky island over here for this particular run. So what we're going to do is we're going to ascend up, and we're going to be really close to the stairs to head up and grab the treasure chest. And then we're going to jump down, and we're going to do a delayed shield jump to get the horizontal movement we need to land perfectly in the lake below. And now we run into the next cave, and you have to be careful to not run up against these rocks because the game does not like to let you hit them if you've run up to them. It's a very weird thing, but we then headshot the bubble frog, and this is another ore deposit we get where we get a guaranteed ruby. Again, this becomes important later. And then we ascend out of the cave, and we have to actually do 2 ascends. So this is the first one, and as soon as we pop out of this one, we just stay in the same spot and ascend up out into the daylight. Before we continue on, we have to run in, and we have to get the upper entrance of that cave, and then we ascend out of that so that we can get this korok up here at the top. We hit the seed first, and then that gives us time to run up while it's falling down. And then this completes our next segment. You can shield surf down from there, but it's extremely difficult to do. Most of the time I don't get it, and so I just shield surf here. This is some of the surface we would not be able to shield surf on without the minecart. So that was the first real use of the minecart. We complete the puzzle korok. And after this one, we're actually going to use a wing to get down below to do another puzzle korok. Now, in this particular run, I had too much forward momentum on this wing, and so I end up overshooting it a little bit, and I got really lucky that I didn't fall into the void below. I actually managed to grab onto the wall there, and that saved the run. So we complete this korok puzzle, and then from here we're going to ascend up to the upper level to continue into the next cave. So we do that ascend. That's an uphill right there, so we have to wait until we get to the downhill to do our shield surfing. We continue all the way over until we get to the cave. We're going to try and sneak around and get the bubble frog, but we missed the headshot. And so instead of going after him with a sword, I just decide to take care of him with the bow and arrow. We pick up some bomb flowers that we're going to use later, and then we're going to get the bubble gem. Now, it really only costs about an extra second to kill the bubble frog that way compared to a headshot and hitting him with the boulder sword, but it's going to come into play later in the run. because I used my bow and arrow so much to kill him this time, that will become a factor later when we get to the Flux Construct. So we climb up, and we're actually going up in this cave when most casual playthroughs probably came down through this cave. We grab a bomb flower there, being careful not to grab any of the bright bloom seeds. We run by the like without attacking or interacting in any way. We get the treasure chest and we ascend out. And this puts us in perfect position to then run over here and do a shield surf. Now, I do 2 shield surfs. You can do this in 1 if you're really good. But I do it in 2 separate shield surfs and usually have better luck. I didn't get really good luck on my second shield surf, but it was still better than usually what I get with just trying to do 1 shield surf there. We get the treasure chest, and then we're going to head up, and we need to take care of these 2 Captain constructs on top of this icy plateau so that we can get the locked treasure chest. And we do that by doing a headshot with a bomb flower. And then we're going to take out the other construct with 2 bomb flowers. And then we get a sneak strike on the first one, and we're done. Now, after we get this treasure chest, we're actually going to head back towards the Ascend Shrine, which you see there in the distance. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why don't we just go ahead and get the Ascend Shrine now instead of going out of our way to get it earlier? And the reason is, to this point in the run, we've used the Ascend ability 19 times. And right now, we're getting ready to use it the 20th time in this run. So if we didn't have the Ascend ability, we would have to completely reroute what we've done, and there's no doubt that it would cost us significantly more time compared to coming to get the Ascend ability earlier. So now we take a wing, and we're going to fly over. We've got a korok to get on that Sky Island that we see kind of right in front of Link. Now, ideally, we get to the Sky Island and we maintain the wing so that we can use it later. And you can see right there, that's the part where I thought I lost the wing because it looked like it was disappearing. But as you can see, it is hanging on by an absolute thread. So we got really lucky there as well. We finished up the korok. And now we need to take out the Flux Construct with a bomb arrow and then 2 ruby arrows. So we do the bomb arrow and we instantly break our bow, which costs us time switching bows and sorting that out. We hit the second shot, and as soon as the second shot registers, we do the third shot, and that's how we complete beating the Flux Construct. We then take the wing over to the other icy plateau over here to get a treasure chest. We do not have to do anything with these constructs. This treasure chest is not locked. Now the key to that Flux Construct, again, is you need to headshot with the bomb arrow, headshot with the first ruby arrow, and then as soon as the damage from the first ruby arrow registers, then you can do the second ruby arrow. If you do the second ruby arrow too quickly, we've had a lot of bad luck of it not registering any damage, and then basically your run is lost because you have to reset and do it again. Now you saw we took the wing over here to the flower construct. You actually do not need to climb up on those ledges to get those flowers. You can just run by and jump. But Link was feeling a little extra spicy and wanted to jump on the ledge to just kind of show off his parkour abilities. We go ahead and drink our final speed food, which as you saw is now good for 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and that'll take us almost all the way to the very end of the speed run. Now at this point we have a little bit of cleanup to do. We're heading back to the Temple of Time, and there's a few things here kind of in the middle of the map that we need to take care of, and so we might as well go ahead and do them as we're headed back to the Temple of Time. So we're going to run over here and grab a treasure chest here, and then from here we're going to go ascend over to a different Sky Island and get another treasure chest. And then we're actually going to get one more treasure chest after this one that we're getting ready to gather right now. We're going to get one more treasure chest that is over underneath the Ultra Hand Shrine. We could not get that treasure chest earlier because it takes too long to get back up from the area where the treasure chest is. And so we want to wait until we have the ascend ability, which we have now. And we tried routing this several different ways, and it turns out that it's routed best just doing it right here as we head back towards the Temple of Time. So we drop a wing. We're very aggressive about getting down as quickly as possible here. And we get really lucky right here that the wing does not clobber Link and kill him. After we get the opal, we ascend up, and we're done with getting that treasure chest that would take way too much time otherwise. From here, we're going to cross back over the water. Again, we run into the water so that we avoid the dive animation. And now you're going to see where we use our minecart with a shield surf that helps us go much faster than if we were just walking or running here. And we got one more korok to get before we head in and get the recall ability. Alright, and that's all the cleanup done. Now we can go complete the closed door quest here. And after we complete the closed door quest, we're going to run in and we're going to get the recall ability. After we get the recall ability, we have to continue through the Temple of Time, through this Temple of Time to talk to Rauru. Now, in other speedruns, you may have seen people fuse a bomb to a shield or a wing to a shield to get through this segment, that wheel segment you see in the background. You can get through it much quicker with a bomb shield or a wing shield. Unfortunately, we don't have enough bombs at our disposal or wings at our disposal to be able to use those methods to get through the Temple of Time. So essentially, we just use a faster method of applying recall to those wheels, and you'll see that here in just a second. So once we got the recall ability, that was another segment split that we had. We button mash to get through the conversation with Rauru. And then we're going to apply recall as quickly as possible on this wheel. And what we're going to do is we're going to hang out here right on this ledge, and right at the perfect time, we're just going to jump up, run along the side of the wheel, and we're done. Just that quickly we got through that. And so that's why we don't worry about trying to find an extra bomb or wing to go with one of the alternative methods. So we can cancel out of that animation pretty quickly because we know Link doesn't have enough hearts to open the door yet. So we cancel out of the animation, and we button mash through the conversation with Rauru because now he's giving us the ability to warp with our map. And so what we're going to do is, as soon as we're done, we're going to open up our map and we're going to warp all the way back to the Room of Awakening where we started. In a casual playthrough, you would typically do this warp, and then you would use the abilities that you have to head over to what I call the Recall Shrine. But we have a few more items that we have to get before we head over to the Recall Shrine. So we're going to use Ascend right here to head all the way up and out of the rooms completely. Then we're going to head up to the remnants of this tree trunk here so that we can get the korok that's just floating right there on the lily pad. From there, we're going to head over and we're going to get this treasure chest that has wings inside it. And then we're going to use a shield jump and then a quick shield surf to get down as quickly as possible. And now we're going to be heading finally over to the Recall Shrine. And like the Ascend shrine, the Recall shrine is basically on a timer, and so that means that as long as we keep moving, we're gonna be fine. You'll see here pretty quickly that I'm gonna run out of stamina when I land on this raft right here, and it ends up not mattering at all. So we go from raft to raft. We can actually get a nice jump off of this raft if we time it just right. We can get a nice launch, just like that. Then we head up the gear because we need to get the treasure chest. By the time it's all said and done, we're going to be running over to the little clock arms, and they're going to line up pretty much right when we get to them. Again, everything's pretty much on a timer. It's pretty hard to not hit that just like that, as long as we keep moving. We don't even really have to be too risky. Some of the stuff we do is just a matter of, you know, feeling like we're still speedrunning. You can really just do this with a fairly basic approach, and you're going to be fine. Now that we've completed all of the shrines, we need to do a little bit of final cleanup as we head back towards the Temple of Time towards the end of this run. So we need to get this construct right here, this steward construct for the crystal refinery. That's one of the requirements. And then we head out, and we're going to use one of the wings that's sitting here to go get a korok on one of the sky islands over here. So we get the wing moving, we set it up so that we do a quick turn and then a dive. And then right off the front, we're going to dive into the ring of lily pads. You need to make sure to be inside. Basically, if you touch any of the lily pads, in our experience, you end up not getting credit, and then that's going to be a huge time loss. We swim out. We take out a wing, and now we're heading over to the other nearby sky island because there's a treasure chest on this one that we need to complete. Now, ideally, we get, good speed on our wings, and we get good dives from here. I got really lucky there that Link... I've had that dive happen before where it ended up killing Link, which, of course, kills the run. So I got really lucky there as well. And then we do one more wing here for a nice long wing ride all the way over to that distant sky island that's basically next to the Temple of Time. This particular sky island, it is available to us earlier in the run, but we're already heading back to the Temple of Time because we're using a wing to head back to the Temple of Time because it is slower to warp and run to the Temple of Time. And so since we're already taking a wing over to the Temple of Time, we found out that routing this in at this point in the run was actually much faster than going out of our way earlier in the run. It was just more out of the way than it is at this point in time. So we end up taking a wing ride here, and then we do one more wing to make it easy to get over to the Temple of Time instead of diving down into the water and then having to use Ascend to get back up. We just take a wing ride, and now we're back in the Temple of Time, and we're going to have to go through the recall process on the wheels one more time. So again, we waited until it's in a good position. Once again, we're going to hang out here on this platform, and then we're going to jump and run around the edge of the wheel. And that quickly we're through. And we're going to go talk to the goddess statue to get our fourth heart. Now, it's important to note that basically once we get this fourth heart and open the doors that are behind the goddess statue, that is basically the end of what is commonly known as the tutorial for this game. And that opens up the rest of the game to the player. For the 100% GSI runs, that are quote unquote official, those runs end by going through these doors and then going to the end of the platform and handing over the decayed Master Sword. At that point, those runs are complete. However, for 100% plus, we have to continue down to the ground to make the last korok available back at the Room of Awakening. And you have to actually go and have Link actually touch the ground. And I know I said actually a lot because it's something that has to happen. Link's feet have to touch the ground on the surface level of the map in order for that korok to become available. Until that happens, that korok just simply is not available. So what we're going to do here is we're going to dive down to the surface, and we're going to make sure that we touch the ground by seeing the Hyrule Kingdom text appear, and also by when we go to our map, we should be on the surface level of the map. And so we see there really quickly, we were on the surface level. We see Hyrule Kingdom. We know we've touched the ground. And so we know that now when we go back to the Room of Awakening, the final korok is going to be available for us. And so after a quick warp, we turn and we run back to where Link was standing when we started the speed run. And there was the korok that we collect, and the timer stops right now when that triangle shows up on the Korok Seed description box. And that's the end of the speed run. Now, as you notice, we didn't get sub 56 minutes, which has kind of been a goal that we've set. Wasn't able to get it in this particular run, but this was one of the cleanest speed runs I've had of this category, and so I felt it was a good time to share this speed run with commentary with the broader Tears of the Kingdom community. We do know that sub 56 minutes is possible. One of my community members, Sean, has already achieved that. And so I hope you go check out his channel and check out his sub 56 speedrun. I'll link to his channel in the description below this video. And I want to give a huge thanks to everyone in my Twitch community for helping to develop this speedrun. This was truly a group effort. A lot of people put in a lot of work optimizing things, questioning things, trying new things, really sciencing out new things to try to save as much time as possible. If you want to try out the route and maybe try the speedrun for yourself, I'll leave a link to the route in the description below as well. And with that, I'll say thank you for watching the video and good luck on your glitchless 100% plus GSI speedruns.